Part 93. My evil Imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 921. Not long after all the 8 attributes around Lum Wan disappeared into her body, her cultivation level also went straight up, and she quickly broke through to the half-step high immortal. In the end, he stopped when he was 1 step away from the cultivation base of Xianxia. The core stone in her hand also turned into a streamer and penetrated between her eyebrows. When the surroundings returned to tranquility, she slowly opened her eyes. Seeing Mingxiu's warm and tender eyes falling on her, Lum Wan chuckled lightly, "Not bad, you refine the core stone 1 step ahead of me." Mingxiu walked up to her and hugged him into his arms, kissed the tip of her nose, and said with a smile, "There's still a lot of my husband's abilities that haven't been shown yet, you'll know when we become a kiss." Lum Wan gave him a funny look, and this fellow actually said such a love story? You should have been able to break through to the immortal cultivation base before. She felt a strange fluctuation just now, and this kind of energy was similar to those commanders who were immortal cultivation in the extraterritorial battlefield. Mingxiu smiled and said, "The 8 UN force attributes in my body have been completely merged to form a complete field. It is only a matter of thought to break through to the immortal." This time, they really got a blessing in disguise. Not only did they refine the core stone of the Guangling world, but they also allowed them to break through to the immortal cultivation base in the future without much hindrance. He can actually step into the immortal cultivation base now, but after refining the core stone, he has not derived a clone. He is afraid that the law will be forcibly rejected from the Guangling world and fly to the fairy world. And the idea in his heart was that he wanted to ascend together with Lum Wan, and he didn't want to suffer from the separation of lovesickness that he had previously ascended from Tianling continent to Guangling realm, so he deliberately suppressed the breakthrough cultivation. Well, I also feel the bottleneck at that level. As long as there is another opportunity, it is just around the corner to hit the immortal cultivation realm, Lum Wan said while playing with a strand of black hair of Mingxiu. We have been in this space for a long time, and I don't know how long it has been outside. She thought about it and said. Mingxiu is also a little worried that the time outside is too long, don't miss the time before the war to be troublesome. Mo Yan and the others are still waiting outside, let's go out first. Okay, Lum Wan thought so too. The two stood up and walked out of the star space hand in hand, and flew up quickly from the magma sea. Because the two refined the core stone of the Guangling world, the star space here collapsed and disappeared instantly after they left, and even the thermal energy of the magma sea was also reduced a lot. The two found out that this change did not stop them all. The core stones of the Guangling world are not regularly born and distributed, and they will only be refined and refined for those who are destined, and there is no way to force them. They were very lucky to have encountered this kind of opportunity this time. In fact, they had to thank those Huoluan beasts lurking in the sea of geothermal magma. The two men's cultivation improved rapidly, and the thermal energy of the magma sea weakened, and it took them only 3 days to get out of the surface. "Master, they came out." Mia Meow's eyes lit up at the 2 red shadows that suddenly appeared. The other spirit pets also had excited smiles on their faces. Mo Yan and Mo Yan also walked out of the cave after discovering their breath. When Lum Wan and Mingxiu saw Mo Yan, they were stunned. "Miss Lu, the 9th prince." Mo Yan smiled at the two of them friendly. Since he knew that Lum Wan and Mo Yan were in a contractual relationship, he not only paid attention to his younger brother, but also paid attention to Lum Wan and Mingxiu. He still admires the temperament and talent strength of these two people, and this time it can be regarded as a good relationship. "You are Mo Yan's eldest brother." Lum Wan smiled and looked at each other with a more certain tone. Ever since she found out that Mo Yan still has a big brother, her heart is actually a little complicated. She is afraid that this big brother will also be like Mo Yan's mother, and Mo Yan will suffer very much at that time. Fortunately, looking at the calmness and gentleness exuding from Mo Yan, the two brothers must be talking very well, and their relationship should be good. As long as this one isn't that woman's advocate. Well, I'm Mo Yan's eldest brother. Mo Yan nodded with a smile. He didn't say anything about Mo Yan thanks to Lum Wan's care over the years. He knew that Mo Yan's relationship with Lum Wan didn't need to be so ostentatious. Nice to meet you, Lum Wan smiled. Ming Xiu also gave Mo Yan a friendly smile, brother Mo. A title brought the relationship between Mo Yan and them closer. Let's go into the cave and talk. Mo Yan smiled lightly. It is good. In the cave, Mo Yan took out a few pots of spirit wine and greeted everyone to drink it together. Long Yao and several other pets are not outsiders, so Mo Yan did not avoid them when he planned to talk to Lum Wan this time. After chatting with each other, Mo Yan pointed out something important. My eldest brother discovered a weakness of Huoluan beasts and needs your cooperation to wipe them out. Mo Yan looked at Lum Wan and said. Lum Wan's eyes were like bright stars, and she asked curiously, what weakness? She and Ming Xiu's cultivation strength has improved now, so it shouldn't be a big problem to deal with that Huoluan beast king. However, there are too many high-level alien beasts on the other side, and they are also very difficult to deal with, and they cannot guarantee to kill all of them at one time. If that Huoluan beast really has any weaknesses, they don't need to borrow experts from other 3 domains to help. Mo Yan took out a bunch of daisy-like spiritual flowers from the space ring and said, I accidentally discovered that the pollen of this kind of spiritual flower will make Huoluan beast allergic, and once it is contaminated, its strength will be reduced by about 30%. It is integrated into the highly poisonous, and when the time comes to lurking in their nests, we will be able to catch them all at once. He used to be the immortal venerable in the immortal realm, and it is not difficult to check the news of the Huoluan beast in the Sui realm. Lum Wan likes to study strange things the most. She took the spirit flower and looked at it over and over with interest. The pollen of the spirit flower contains an invisible medicinal property that can weaken the fire element. It is indeed an excellent thing to deal with Huoluan beasts. Lum Wan's brows were filled with a smile. It's good to use this to deal with them without bloodshed. I like it. If the top powerhouses of the 3 domains are seconded to encircle and suppress Huoluan beasts, they will inevitably suffer damage. Poisoning is indeed an excellent method. She looked at Mo Yan with deep meaning. It seemed that Mo Yan's eldest brother was not an ordinary demon cultivator. But everyone has their own secrets, and she has no interest in digging. As long as Mo Yan is harmless to Mo Yan, she is happy to see their brothers happy. After all, she had always hoped that Mo Yan had relatives who could truly care and love him. It's good, Mo Yan had lived for so long, and Lum Wan's thoughts could be seen at a glance. This also made his impression of her better. He just likes to deal with people who are knowledgeable and know how to advance and retreat. I'm going to study the poison to deal with Huoluan beasts now. Lum Wan raised an eyebrow at Mo Yan and smiled. You're not the only one. Mo Yan chuckled and donated all the spirit flowers on his body. I hope Miss Lu will not disappoint us. I won't let you down. Lum Wan's face burst into a confident smile and a kind of domineering arrogance. It's time for us to fight back. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant. Trash against the world. BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 922. Lum Wan took the spirit flower and began to retreat to study poison. 2 days later, she emerged from a hole in a hole that had been re-drilled deep in the cave. Mu Yan, how's it going? Has the poison been researched? Juyo smiled when she saw her coming out. Lum Wan said with a smile, the other poison ingredients have been studied almost, but we still need to blindly lure the pollen into the toxin and the associated grass. What kind of companion grass do you need? Mo Yan raised his head and asked. This Juyo should be able to solve it. I need the most advanced companion snake grass to lure the Hydra clan every time they shed their skin and advance. Lum Wan replied with a smile. Juyo breathed a sigh of relief and said, this is easy to handle. There are many high-level accompanying grasses in the palace secret treasury of our Hydra family. Well, let's go back to the Hydra King city first. I just have something to discuss with King Han and the others. Lum Wan nodded. Mo Yan said, I won't go to the Hydra clan with you. I will go back to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan to continue monitoring that woman. Brother, you must pay attention to safety. Mo Yan pursed his lips and said worriedly. Although that woman was their mother, she was ruthless. If she knew that his eldest brother had betrayed her and secretly found out the weakness of Huoluan Beast, that woman might attack his eldest brother. Mo Yan chuckled lightly, don't worry, I know what to do. Mo Yan, what is the strength of the Fox Queen's cultivation? Is there a Huoluan Beast King? Lum Wan asked after thinking for a while. Mo Yan's eyes are deep and dark. Her cultivation is only one step away from being a fairy, and she may break through at any time. I estimate her strength is stronger than that of Huoluan Beast Master. Among these alien races, she is the most difficult to deal with. Hearing his words, everyone present was stunned. They didn't expect that woman's strength to be so strong. You can't expose it? If you are in danger, send us a message immediately. Lum Wan frowned slightly and looked at Mo Yan with a little worry. Mo Yan is now the prince of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, and has yet to reveal the secret of the rebellion, so he can't break free from the mud for the time being. But Queen Nine-Tailed Fox's cultivation base is so powerful, if Mo Yan is discovered, it will be dangerous. No problem, I'm sure that even if I face her, I can escape safely. You don't need to worry about that. Mo Yan showed a confident smile on his face. She is just a woman with a high immortal cultivation base. If he used to be able to kill her with just one look, even though he is a step behind in the realm of cultivation base, he can also escape the opponent's siege by combining secret techniques. If it weren't for the cultivation of that supreme cultivation technique, he would have broken through to the immortal realm and ascended to the immortal realm long ago. Seeing how calm and confident he was, Lum Wan guessed in his heart that he should also have had some great chance, and he was not worried about his safety at the moment. Okay, then if there is any situation, I will communicate with Mo Yan, and we will let you cooperate if there is any action here. Yeah, Mo Yan nodded. So Mo Yan returned to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, while Lum Wan and the others returned to the Hydra clan first. In the Hydra King capital, Lum Wan soon joined Ye King Han and Lum Yubai. She came back this time for three purposes: to find the companion snake grass, and to discuss with Ye King Han and others, so that Lan Ruolai could deprive the big man in red of his memory. The last purpose was the most important. She felt that they might get a lot of unexpected news from the big man in red. You guys are back, have you found anything? Ye King Han and the others were relieved to see Lum Wan and the two returned safely. Lum Wan smiled and recounted everything he found in Qian Mountain, including Mo Yan's. With the help of Big Brother Mo Yan, we will get twice the result with half the effort when we go to destroy the nest of Qian Mountain Fire Luan Beast. She gave Ye King Han and the others a reassuring look. Ye King Han and the others were also happy that Mo Yan found his brother. That's fine. Yan'er, let's take away the memory of the big man in red first, Ming Xiu said. Lum Wan nodded, looked at Lan Ruolai and said, Xiao Ruolai, my sister wants to trouble you again for help. Lan Ruolai smiled brightly, I like to help Sister Lu the most, and deprivation of memory is the best for me. Lum Wan rubbed his head with a doting smile, well, our little Ruolai is the best. Then she instructed Long Yao to release the big man in red from the internal space. When the red-clothed man was released by Long Yao, he was in a state of embarrassment, his nose was blue and his face was swollen, and the demon power in his body had been depleted and there was not much left, and his eyes were a little sluggish. Lum Wan raised her eyebrows, you tortured him enough. Long Yao he smiled, who made him ignorant of praise, even a foreigner dares to be arrogant in front of me, it's just asking for a beating. Immediately, he looked at Bingji's several spiritual pets with a thief, it's not just me who cleaned him up, Bingji and the others also participated in the group fight. Bingji and several spiritual pets glared at Long Yao, this unscrupulous fellow. Lum Wan gave a few spirit pets a funny look. I didn't say you beat me up wrong, just don't play dead. Although her spirit pets are a bit naughty, they still know their proportions. Master is the best. Meow Meow leaned over to Lum Wan and rubbed her shoulder. Lum Wan gave Bingji a look, and he bound the big man in red to Lan Ruolai's side. Lan Ruolai touched the eyebrows of the big man in red, and a little bit of UN force penetrated into the other party's sea of consciousness space. About an hour later, Lan Ruolai's face was pale and deprived of his memory from the sea of knowledge of the red-clothed man. He handed a small ball of light to Lum Wan and said, Sister Lu, his memory has been completely deprived. Lum Wan took out an elixir to restore his spiritual power and UN strength and let him take it. Xiao Ruolai is really amazing. Deprivation of memory is a talent of Lan Ruolai's special physique. Every time it is used, it consumes some mental energy and UN energy, and it does no harm to the body. Otherwise, Lum Wan would not trouble him often to do such things. Lan Ruolai sat obediently beside Lum Wan after taking the medicine pill. He knew that Lum Wan had business to do now. Lum Wan browsed through the memories in the ball, and then handed the ball to Ming Xiu to read all of them. I didn't expect that the real spy hidden in the demon realm would be the great holy maiden. Lu Mubai tapped the armrest of the chair in his hand lightly, frowning. He has used the highest order of the dark market, and all the secret investigators have all called out to search the whereabouts of aliens in the 4 domains. There was no abnormal news about the great saint in the news from the demon domain. It seemed that this woman was hidden deep enough. Lum Wan and Ming Xiu had already noticed that the 3 saintess might be an abandoned child and a guise of the queen of the Fox clan, and they also suspected that there might be more advanced spies lurking in the demon realm, but they never thought that that person would be the great saintess. If there is no memory of the high-level man in red, the confidant of the queen of the Fox clan, they will not suspect the great saint in a short time. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 923. After Lum Wan found out from the memory of the red-clothed man that the real spy of the demon domain was the great saint, he figured out a lot of things. I didn't expect that our whereabouts in the demon domain were leaked by the great saint. Ming Xiu squinted his long and narrow phoenix eyes. The eldest saint and the 3 saints have a different status as a servant from beginning to end. She is a prince of an alien race, and she is also an alien race. The so-called liking and chasing my eldest brother are all the same. It's acting. It's no wonder that every time he saw the great holy maiden pestering his eldest brother, he always felt a sense of disobedience. It turned out that the woman was playing a role. Did she put something on your eldest brother and let him recognize you at the same time? Lum Wan had this suspicion in her heart. She probably did something to me when she was in Tianling continent. She also recognized me when we went to demon domain. In the memory of the red-clothed man, their whereabouts in the demon territory were revealed to be reported by the great saint to the queen of the Fox clan. In any case, the great saintess can't be kept. Ming Xiu's eyes showed a bit of sternness. The great saintess can play tricks on him and Lum Wan, which will inevitably cause trouble in the future. Lum Wan also thought the same. I will send a message to Jun Luokan in a while and ask him to control the person and send it over in secret to deprive him of his memory. She is the true ruler of the alien race in the demon realm, and she should know all the places and hidden places where the ghost beasts are cultivated in the demon realm. All the spies in the demon realm. Well, as long as the memory of the great saint is deprived, the alien race in the demon domain will not be a problem. Ming Xiu nodded. Ye Qinghan and Lu Mubai had a heavy look on their faces after reading the memory ball. They didn't expect that the high-level powerhouses in the sea area and the human domain would turn out to be secret sons of a different race. The big man in red is the right-hand man of the Queen of the Fox clan, so he knows all about the senior spies with special status lurking in the 4 regions. These news are very important to them. I'll go back to the sea area and send those high-level alien spies lurking in the sea clan to receive memory deprivation. Ye King Han pondered for a moment and said. Lu Mubai also said, I will also go back to Renaiu and catch those scumbags. The red-clothed man only knew the most advanced scouts in the 4 domains, but he didn't know who they were offline, how many soul balls they secretly collected, and where the hidden beasts' nests were secretly cultivated. Therefore, we can only capture those high-level spies and let Lanruolai deprive them of their memories, and then they will know the secrets without interrogation. Okay, you will go back to the sea and the human domain, capture all those people, and after all the spies are caught and find the place to cultivate the soul beast, we will act together in the 4 regions and destroy all the nests of alien races in one fell swoop. Lu Muian also hoped that Ye King Han and Lu Mubai would go back. Meditation thought for a while and added, Long Yao, you accompany King Han to the sea, Bingji, you accompany eldest brother to the human domain. When the time comes, bring people into your internal space and use the teleportation array to rush back as soon as possible. Okay, Long Yao and Bingji replied in unison. Ming Xiu took out 2 more space rings and handed them to Ye King Han and Lu Mubai. I have left the coordinates of the nodes in the sea area and the human realm. You can teleport back and forth within 7 days as long as you activate the magic ball. Both of them smiled when they took the space ring, so that there would not be too much delay in going back and forth. The demon domain is handed over to Jun Luokan. Recently, Yanner has been researching poisons, so it's up to the senior brothers and us to take action in the demon domain. Ming Xiu looked at Lu Muian and said with a smile. Lu Muian chuckled lightly, okay. Master, we will also be dispatched. Mia Miao's pets naturally couldn't sit still. Lu Muian nodded her little nose angrily and said with a smile, I'm sure you won't be left behind. Mia Miao's few spiritual pets cheered when they heard her words, and Lei Wang's calm face showed a rare smile. Ever since he learned the truth about Thunder Beast's destruction, he has always been in a state of indignation, and his desire for revenge has been tormenting him constantly. In order not to drag Lu Muian's hind legs, he forced himself not to act alone. Knowing that Mo Yan's mother was behind the scenes, he did not hostile to Boss Mo, but rather sympathized with him. It was really unfortunate to have such a mother. Now that he can finally fight back against the enemy, and maybe he will be able to rescue his clan soon, he couldn't help but get excited. After the division of labor, everyone will act on their own in the next morning. Ye King Han and Lu Mubai used the formation to move towards the human domain and the sea, while Ming Xiu led Lu Muting and a few pets to hide with the help of Zhu Qi and Moyan to capture the demon domain. The senior spies of the big demon kings. Of course, before the action in the demon domain, Ming Xiu and Lu Muian first went to a gathering of several demon kings organized by a Hydra king, and took out all the evidence about the Queen of the Fox clan and other alien spies. The several big demon kings were shocked, and secretly mobilized all parties to cooperate to capture those high-level spies and prepare enough strength to destroy the place where soul beasts were cultivated. Lu Muian began to study the poison that is deadly to Huoluan beasts. What she needed was a one-shot break without leaving any future troubles. Within a month, senior spies from Demon Domain, Sea Area, Human Domain, and Demon Domain were secretly captured in the Hydra Palace, and Lanruolai also began to deprive their memories one by one. The poison studied by Lu Muian was successfully formulated, and its efficacy was tripled. Ye King Han and Lu Mubai also returned to the royal capital of Hydra. On this day, Lu Muian and the others just finished discussing the plan, and the blood ran in a hurry. Master, it's not good. Lu Muian groaned in her heart, what happened to the blood? Miao Miao provoked a group of descendants of the Kunpeng clan, and they are now being besieged. 2 of them have cultivation bases close to the true spirit, and we can't beat them. The blood came back to report only the clone, and his body was also besieged. Lum Wan frowned and asked, why did Meow Meow conflict with them? Although Meow Meow likes liveliness and violence, she never takes the initiative to stir up trouble. The descendants of the Kunpeng clan embraced a young man who seemed to be of an unusual identity. That person took a fancy to Meow Meow and wanted to take her back as a concubine, but then Meow Meow refused, and your second brother was also very angry and fought with him. Shue Shue paused and continued angrily, originally, our side was stronger than them, but who would have known that two guards suddenly appeared to protect the young man, their cultivation bases were close to the true spirit, and we were all captured. Longyao and Bingji were also captured, Lum Wan asked. Longyao and Bingji's current cultivation base is half-step to immortal, and in general, it is impossible for them to be caught with their innate supernatural powers. Well, the young man's guards are very strong. The two of them subdued Bingji and Longyao with a few moves. Even Boss Mo was suppressed by them as soon as they arrived Shue Shue's side. They went out so many times, although they were provoked by others each time, but it was easy to counter-attack back. This time they really hit the steel plate. The most important thing is not that they provoked and suffered first, this breath is really hard to swallow. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 924. Lum Wan squinted her eyes after hearing the bloody words, her face darkened slightly. The anger in her chest is self-evident. Meow Meow, whom she loves in the palm of her hand, is supposed to be forcibly taken back to be a concubine. How can such a thing be tolerated? Let's go, let's meet those Kunpeng descendants. Ming Xiu and the others immediately got up and followed them out. Soon the group came to a very busy street. At this time, the streets were bustling with many demon revisionists watching, forming a circle. The atmosphere in the circle was tense. As soon as Lum Wan arrived, he heard the conversation inside. A young man looked at Meow Meow and said, "Humph, it's a blessing that you have cultivated for hundreds of years when your Royal Highness sees you. Don't be ashamed." Lu Muting stood in front of Meow Meow, with a trace of blood on his lips. He said coldly, "We can't enjoy this blessing, you can enjoy it slowly. It's really a toast, not eating and drinking." Another young man sneered coldly, "If you know the identity of our highness, let alone a concubine, I'm afraid that you will be happy to be a maid." Lu Muting's eyes froze, and countless sword chi dissipated from him unconsciously. Many demon cultivators were knocked back by the piercing sword energy. "Bah, you think everyone likes to be a dog's leg like you?" Meow Meohan looked at the demon cultivator who besieged them with disdain. The man who opened his mouth choked and was full of anger. Just as he was about to get angry, he was stopped by the very handsome young man in front of him. "Shut up." His voice was very gentle, but it made the demon cultivators around him shudder. The two young men who started talking immediately stepped back respectfully and did not dare to speak. The handsome young man looked at Meow Meow lightly, and said restrainedly and calmly, "Girl, I really like you, I will give you the status of a side concubine, I hope you will seriously consider it." He just sat on the Zazao upstairs and found this beautiful and agile woman, as if she had an inexhaustible vitality. For some reason, that smile instantly invaded his heart. His status is noble, and the female cultivator of the demon race who can be his concubine also needs status. The bloodline of ethnic groups such as the Hydra is still too low. This time, he will make an exception for her. Meow Meow smiled angrily, "Do you think I'm a concubine? You can't even see this girl's body, right?" The teenager frowned slightly, a crack suddenly appeared in his forehead, and then a third eye loomed. Soon, he was stunned and chuckled, "I didn't expect you to be from the Hydra family. Although the Jinlong family has a noble status, it's not bad for the ordinary Jinlong family to be the side concubine of the main hall." There was a little more smile in the boy's eyes, obviously he was more satisfied with Meow Meow's true body. Lu Muting's irritable temperament has changed a lot now. He looks at the boy coldly, guessing the identity of the other party and how to deal with it. The sword energy on his body overflowed, and there was a feeling of desperately trying. Mo Yan looked at the handsome boy with deep eyes. He found that he couldn't see through the other's aura and race. There were only two possibilities. One is that the other party is wearing a divine treasure that conceals the breath, or that he has taken medicines such as Fuxi pill, and the other is that the bloodline of the other party is purer than theirs, and their cultivation is even higher than them. Neither one is optimistic about the current situation. It's really a big tone. You still think you are the emperor of the world on tour. While several spirit pets and Lu Muting were trying to figure out a way, Lu Muan squeezed out of the crowd and looked at the handsome boy with a sarcastic expression. The nine-tailed fox queen already knew the whereabouts of Lu Muan and his party, so they didn't use medicinal herbs to cover up their faces. It's just that when Meow Meow's few spirit pets came out to do business, they used the medicinal pills that assimilated the surrounding aura to become the Hydra family. When the handsome young man saw Lu Muan's appearance, a look of surprise appeared in his eyes, but it quickly faded away. The woman in front of him was very beautiful. Even among the women he had met in his capacity, Lu Muan could also be ranked in the top 3. However, he didn't really like this kind of strong woman who was flamboyant and introverted and had a little bit of domineering. He liked the cheerful, lively, smart, and lovely woman like Meow Meow. When Meow Meow's spirit pets saw Lu Muan coming, their eyes showed joy. Master. Bold, what is your identity? How dare you talk to our highness like this? A middle-aged man behind the handsome young man looked at Lu Muan coldly, and attacked Lu Muan with full pressure. He felt a slight threat from Lu Muan's body, so he also had the intention of testing. Humph, Lu Muan snorted coldly, swept his sleeves at will, and the strong pressure of the other party dissipated directly. This action of hers surprised the high-level demon cultivators who were watching and hiding. In particular, the powerhouses who came from other demon clans were more interested in watching them in secret places. They were dispatched to help Lu Muan this time, but they were still a little unconvinced. They always felt that it was too much for a yellow-haired girl to surpass them. However, feeling the coercion she exuded just now, many high-level demon cultivators stopped thinking of looking down on her. The handsome young man looked at Lu Muan and the Ming Xiu behind her indifferently. You two really deserve to be the leading figures of genius among the younger generation of this interface, and this hall really wants to experience it. He came here this time because he wanted to meet the legendary genius human race, and it was purely an accident to meet a woman who was heartbroken. Okay. Then please enlighten me. Lu Muan didn't care what the identity of the other party was, so she dared to treat her family Meow Meow like this before beating her. The handsome boy's lips curled up, and he approached Lu Muan in a flash. The two quickly exchanged hands, just a pair of palms, and a mighty and powerful wave swept around. Many demon cultivators whose cultivation base was almost in strength retreated and vomited blood. Seeing this, Ming Xiu threw a 10th grade defensive formation ball to isolate the battle. The middle-aged man who followed the handsome young man was full of fighting spirit, and he attacked without the consent of Ming Xiu, and his moves were fierce. The other demon cultivators also fought with Yeking Han. The surrounding demon cultivators quickly dispersed, leaving the battlefield behind. Those with high cultivation bases are still standing on the street to watch the battle, while those with weak cultivation bases have been pushed far away, flying in the distance to watch. Meow Meow. Several spirit pets also rushed up to start the melee. The sword energy shot from Lu Muting's body, and he quickly beat up the two young men who had asked Meow Meow to be his concubine. The handsome young man saw that the people on both sides of them were fighting hard, and he and Lu Muan were also in the middle. He punched Lu Muan, and they each took a step back and said with a chuckle, "Your strength is not bad, why don't we make a bet?" "What bet?" Lu Muan asked with a frown. The handsome young man pointed to Meow Meow below and said, "If you lose, she will belong to me, and I will give you a divine treasure in exchange. If you win, I will not only stop robbing her, but also give you a divine treasure, and how about 10 million top quality spirit stones? The other demon cultivators gasped when they heard his words. Who the hell is this young man? And from their point of view, after all, Lum Wan made money. Lum Wan's eyes were filled with a layer of coldness. No, Meow Meow is the baby and partner that I love and grow up with in my hand, but it's not that you let you bid on a single item. Death won't let you take her away. The handsome young man's face sank, and just as he was about to speak, a voice with a strong coercion sounded. Well said, this king's daughter can't tolerate your prince of the Kunpeng clan to bully you. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant. Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 925. The group of demon cultivators present looked towards the place where the sound was made, and saw a middle-aged man wearing a golden robe with a noble and outstanding temperament slowly walking out of the space. The handsome young man was stunned when he saw the person coming, and then stepped forward to pay a junior salute. The younger generation has seen the Golden Dragon King. The father of the Golden Dragon King is the overlord of the immortal world, the true dragon with the purest blood, and the phoenix famous in the immortal world, and his position is equivalent to the great immortal. This Golden Dragon King is also a true spiritual existence, and his reputation in the fairy world is not low. The true spirits are different from the monks who are promoted to the immortals of each interface group. They can freely travel through various interfaces, but the laws will restrict them from making rash moves. Why did you come to the Guangling realm? The Golden Dragon King gave the handsome young man a faint glance. The handsome young man looked at Lum Wan and Ming Xiu and replied, I heard from one of their princesses when I was practicing in the Void Knight realm that two super geniuses of the human race have emerged in the Guangling realm in recent years. Seeing that the Golden Dragon King did not show any emotions, he paused and continued, I have seen their crystal record balls on the battlefield outside the territory, so I deliberately asked the Hydra King to compete with them. The Kunpeng family is a native of the fairyland, and has the ability to cross the interface, so it will not be rejected by the major interfaces. He is only one step away from the true spiritual cultivation level, and he has been unable to escape from seclusion in the clan. This time, he went to various interfaces of interest in the lower ranks to find opportunities. Hearing the princess of the virtual night world talking about Lum Wan and Ming Xiu, he had a desire to challenge, and hoped that he could learn from each other and take this opportunity to see if he had any insight. Who knew that it was not good to be a teacher and encountered such a thing? Then what's your explanation for bullying this king's precious children? The Golden Dragon King stared at Prince Kunpeng with a sharp and cold gaze. This time his calm face showed anger. As the prince of the Kunpeng clan, you can arbitrarily rob a woman. He dislikes his precious daughter, not to mention being a side concubine, even being a prince concubine of the Kunpeng family. Prince Kunpeng's expression changed, and he smiled embarrassedly. I'm sorry, Golden Dragon King, but I didn't know that girl was your daughter. The strength of the Golden Dragon King's cultivation is unfathomable, and due to the reason of the true dragon great immortal venerable, few people in the immortal realm dare to provoke him. His father, as the king of the Kunpeng clan, was also polite to the Golden Dragon King. He didn't want to offend him to death because of this. The Golden Dragon King snorted coldly, if it's not this king's daughter, you can bully and rob it. I'm not asking for the princess' opinion, Prince Kunpeng said with a smile, I'm willing to marry her as the princess. As the next generation heir of the Kunpeng clan, he was often unable to be willful, so even if he was very interested in Meow Meow before, he could only grant her the position of concubine. But now it's different. Meow Meow is the daughter of King Jinpeng and the granddaughter of King Zhenlong Daxianzun. If he were to be his wife, he believed that the higher UPS in the Kunpeng clan and his father would be very supportive. I don't want to, Meow Meow roared angrily. Ever since the golden-robed middle-aged man appeared, she found that her whole body's blood was beating, and the closeness of the blood connections made her guess that the other party was her father. But before she recognized her relatives, the prince of the Kunpeng clan said that she wanted to marry her. She was afraid that the father who had never met would bet her off like this. Of course, if the Golden Dragon King really dared to do this, she would never recognize him. But since she was a child, she had always hoped to find her father, and the love in her heart could not be changed, so she couldn't help but refuse. When the Jinpeng tribe saw Miao Miao speak, their originally cold and stern eyes were suddenly incomparably gentle. He tried his best to convey a kind of intimacy to Miao Miao. Okay, if my precious daughter says she won't marry, then she won't marry. He turned his head and snorted at Crown Prince Kunpeng, we don't care about the position of Crown Princess. The Kunpeng clan are divine beasts in the immortal world, and their bloodlines are indeed noble, but he really does not look down on his daughter. The main reason is that the Kunpeng prince just wanted to rob his precious daughter as his concubine, which made him too disgusted. Prince Kunpeng was chilled by the sight of the Golden Dragon King. He knew that it was impossible for the Golden Dragon King to act so recklessly in the fairy world. Miao Miao blinked her big watery eyes and looked at the Golden Dragon King, are you really my father? The Golden Dragon King's heart was melted by his daughter's wet and soft eyes. Of course you are my daughter, you should be able to feel this from the connection of your blood vessels. The Golden Dragon King couldn't help but reached out and touched Miao Miao's head. He has been following Miao Miao since he felt the presence of the blood aura, and asked his best friend, who is proficient in the laws of time and space, to check Miao Miao's identity and her mother's affairs. Before, because there were no Karma friends who couldn't go back in time and space, after Miao Miao appeared, Karma also appeared naturally, and the friends helped. After becoming a true spirit, he can only enter the lower level interface at will, and it is impossible to enter the lower level interface like Tianling continent, otherwise it will cause the chaos and collapse of the entire interface. He also inadvertently encountered a mortal enemy teaming up to kill the cultivation base in his body and was forced to close most of them before entering the Tianling continent to hide from the calamity. Who knows, he will meet the woman he really loves. Although that woman was only a flood dragon who had only changed its shape, and her bloodline was even lower, he just liked it. It was only later that the seal in his body was lifted by his father across the fairy world, and he was rejected by the Tianling continent. If he stayed forcibly, it would cause the Tianling continent to collapse and disappear. See. Therefore, his body has been staying in the demon realm of the Guangling world, waiting for his lover, but he didn't expect his lover to die, and he has an extra daughter. After getting the complete news from his friend, he was sad and happy, sad that his beloved woman died, but happy that his lover left his only blood for him. He had been following Miao Miao and didn't know each other before because he wanted to see how she was doing. Now that his daughter was bullied, he naturally wanted to show up. Miao Miao was not very old, and she also learned from the memory fragments of demon power that her mother finally fused to her that her father did not want them on purpose. Her eyes were stained with moisture, and after a while, she said shyly, "Father. Baby daughter, I will never leave you again. I will take good care of you on your behalf." The Golden Dragon King's heart softened even more when he heard his daughter call father. "Okay, then you first help me teach the culprit who bullied me." Miao Miao looked at Prince Kunpeng with a half-smile. Prince Kunpeng's scalp was numb, and his feelings were not a cute little sheep at all, but a wolf cub who had always been black-bellied and cruel. But his heart was beating even more, and he wanted to bring her back to be the crown princess. The Golden Dragon King now has a daughter who can do everything, especially such a soft, beautiful, and lovely daughter. "Baby daughter, how do you say how to deal with them? The father will satisfy you." Prince Kunpeng twitched the corners of his mouth. If Miao Miao wanted to let the Golden Dragon King kill them, the other party probably would have done so. Is this still the Golden Dragon King who once caused a bloody storm in the fairy world? "I can give him two choices," Miao Miao said with a meaningful smile with a bit of calculation in her eyes. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 926. Meow Meow's eccentric elf smiled and proposed two choices. The demon cultivators present, including the prince of the Kunpeng clan, were very curious about what she wanted to ask. Now the Golden Dragon King just wants to make up for Meow Meow, he smiled kindly and said, don't say two choices, he has to do the same if he chooses all of them. The prince of the Kunpeng clan was a junior in front of him, and he provoked and bullied his precious daughter, so he deserved some punishment. If he hadn't wanted to leave Prince Kunpeng to his daughter, he would have slapped him out of the Guangling realm long ago, guaranteeing that he would spend the whole year in bed after being seriously injured. Prince Kunpeng was dumbfounded with a black line on his head. He knew that the Golden Dragon King would not kill him, but it might make him very uncomfortable. He bowed his hands to Meow Meow with a smile, and said sincerely, Miss, please speak. Meow Meow swept the demon cultivators around, and rolled her eyes, there are too many people here, it's inconvenient to talk, let's settle the account in another place. Juyu immediately stood up and looked at Meow Meow with a smile and said, it's better to go back to the palace to solve it. Okay, Meow Meow turned to the Golden Dragon King and said coquettishly, Dad, let's go to the palace of the Hydra family and talk about it. The Golden Dragon King rubbed her head dotingly, Meow Meow can do whatever she wants. Meow Meow raised her eyebrows and looked at Prince Kunpeng, what do you say? I listened to the girl's arrangement. Prince Kunpeng chuckled lightly. Whether it is for the Golden Dragon King's face or to pursue Meow Meow, he will naturally not object. Meow Meow smiled heartily, walked to Lum Wan, took her hand and said affectionately, Master, let's go. Lum Wan didn't expect such a dramatic scene. He appeared on his own before they set out to find Meow Meow's father, so that's fine. The demon cultivators who were looking around looked disappointed when they heard her words. Today's good show was impossible to watch. The Golden Dragon King was unhappy that Meow Meow called Lum Wan's master, but he did not express his opposition. From his friends in Xianxia, he has seen the process of Lum Wan's adoption of Meow Meow in time, which not only includes the entrustment of his beloved woman, but also Lum Wan's doting and caring for Meow Meow. Lum Wan was really fond of Meow Meow in the palm of his hand like a child, and he did not regard Meow Meow as a spiritual pet to be used for battle. Lum Wan fulfilled her own promise, treating spiritual pets as partners, so he couldn't care about her daughter's contract. Moreover, if Meow Meow hadn't met Lum Wan, he would have been swallowed and refined by the Toad King, and it was even more impossible to fly to the Guangling world with Lum Wan's help to reunite with him. Aside from the fact of the contract, the Golden Dragon King admired Lum Wan and held a kindness. The group left the street and headed to the Hydra Palace, and the surrounding demon cultivators could only helplessly disperse. When the Fox Clan scouts hiding in the depths saw that things had developed like this, they immediately ran back to report. After returning to the palace of the Hydra family, Juyu took them to a quiet hall, and took the guards away to avoid them. The Golden Dragon King was invited to sit at the top, Lum Wan and the others sat on his left, and the Kunpeng clan demon cultivator sat opposite them. Lum Wan took out the tea set and brewed a pot of top-quality spiritual tea, pouring a cup for each person. The Kunpeng prince took a sip from the teacup and looked at Meow Meow with a slight smile. I don't know what the two choices the girl said before. First, as the price you paid for teasing me before, my father made you half paralyzed, and you don't even have the ability to be a man. Meow Meow smiled fiercely on her face. Prince Kunpeng and other demon cultivators twitched the corners of their mouths. This choice is too cruel. Who would be willing to be a eunuch in the future? Prince Kunpeng forced a smile and said, what is the girl's second choice? Meow Meow raised her eyebrows and said, the second option is to give you a chance to make a change. Don't leave the Guangling realm for now, and stay with us to deal with the spies of the Void Knight realm in the Guangling realm. Meow Meow could see that Prince Kunpeng and the alien race in the virtual night world were not the same group. The other party, as the prince of the Kunpeng clan of the divine beast, was not able to kill or castrate, so it might be better to use it. One is to prevent his father from being embarrassed when facing King Kunpeng, and the other is to make it easier for these Kunpeng cultivators to leave. The resources delivered to the door do not need to be used in vain. This is what Lum Wan taught her. After listening to Meow Meow's words, Lum Wan guessed what she was thinking, and there was a little smile in their eyes. The prince of the Kunpeng clan came to the Void Night realm, obviously because the queen of the Fox clan's body or avatar was bad, and now the other party should suffer the consequences. This is no problem, I will listen to the girl's dispatch, Prince Kunpeng said with a smile, with a cold light hidden in his eyes. He is a wise man. Now that he knows the plan of the Void Night realm to attack the Guangling realm, he also knows that he is being used by the princess of the Void Night realm. Even if Meow Meow doesn't speak, he will take the initiative to return it. Not many people in the immortal world dare to plot against him. He is just a princess from the lower world, and he doesn't take it seriously at all. Okay, if we can repel the alien race in the Void Night realm, what we have just now is even. Meow Meow stretched out a hand to hold Lu Muting's, then turned around and kissed him on the side of the cheek. Then she looked at the prince of the Kunpeng clan with a cold expression and said, "He is my future husband, and no one can replace him. You can stay in the Guangling world and help us, but you are not allowed to hit me again, otherwise I will just let my dad break your third leg." Meow Meow usually looks lively and agile, but the actual violent factor in her body is still very restless. The Kunpeng tribe and the Kunpeng tribe's demon cultivator couldn't help but feel sympathy for the prince in his heart when he heard his words. Such a woman is really just as violent as that Lum Wan, and few people are lucky enough to endure it. Before Prince Kunpeng could speak, the Golden Dragon King's face darkened. "Meow Meow, what do you call him, your future husband?" the Golden Dragon King asked with a frown. Lu Muting first. Meow Meow stood up and bowed to the Golden Dragon King. Junior Lu Muting has seen the Golden Dragon King. I really like Meow Meow and want to work with her for a lifetime. I hope the Golden Dragon King can be fulfilled. He is a man and needs to be responsible. He knows that the Golden Dragon King recognizes that Meow Meow Ding is reluctant to marry his daughter, and is likely to oppose them. But no matter what the Golden Dragon King wants to do, he is ready to be embarrassed, and he will definitely persist until the other party agrees. Sure enough, the Golden Dragon King's face darkened instantly. How could the woman he just recognized let other men grab it? Meow Meow immediately held Lu Muting's hand tightly when she saw the situation, and said to the Golden Dragon King with a pitiful look in her eyes, "Father, I really like Lu Muting. We have been together for many times. If I can't live without him." She knew that this newly recognized father wanted to make up for her and dote on her, but her previous life was spent with Lum Wan, a group of spiritual pets, and Lu Muting. Fathers are important, but so are these relatives and lovers. Meow Meow definitely doesn't want her father to interfere with her and Lu Muting's affairs, because she really can't lose him. "My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 927. Meow Meow's words filled Lu Muting's heart with warmth, and he held her hand tightly with his backhand. He knew that Meow Meow had always wanted to find her father, and attached great importance to the Golden Dragon King, but he did not expect that Meow Meow would not hesitate to meet the Golden Dragon King for his sake. The Golden Dragon King didn't expect his baby daughter's temperament to be so stubborn. He scanned Lu Muting with scrutiny eyes, and found that the other party's eyes were full of determination and warmth, and he was a little satisfied. He knew about Lu Muting's existence. Not only did he find out the relationship between his daughter and each other from his friend's retrospective, but he had been following Meow Meow during this period of time, and he also discovered the intimacy between them. He was annoyed that Lu Muting had kidnapped his daughter during the time he was missing, but he also understood that this man was indeed worthy of her daughter's life. In the extraterritorial battlefield, Lu Muting stood up to protect Meow Meow every time Meow Meow and Lu Muting encountered several major dangers. Once, his body was almost destroyed, but he still resolutely pushed Meow Meow out of the danger and took it upon himself. These are also the places that the Golden Dragon King appreciates Lu Muting. Forget it, this king doesn't understand the love between the juniors. You can do whatever you want. Looking at his daughter's watery eyes, how could the Golden Dragon King be willing to let her be wronged? He didn't want to let him recognize his precious daughter because he interfered with his daughter and Lu Muting's affairs. Meow Meow and Lu Muting both showed joy when they heard this. Daddy is the best. Meow Meow let go of Lu Muting, ran to the Golden Dragon King and shook his hand. The Golden Dragon King was softened by his daughter's coquettish gesture. Daddy will always treat you well. Lu Muting immediately got up and bowed to the Golden Dragon King again. Thank you, father-in-law, for your accomplishment. The Golden Dragon King's attitude towards Lu Muting was not so good. He snorted coldly, when you two become relatives, you can call me this king's father-in-law. This stinky boy would crawl along the pole. Lu Muting didn't take the embarrassment of the Golden Dragon King to heart. Marrying Meow Meow is a matter of time, as long as they get the approval and blessing of their relatives. Prince Kunpeng didn't expect things to turn into such a situation. He looked at Meow Meow regretfully, and put away that little thought. As the prince of the Kunpeng clan, his cultivation base, talent, and strength are excellent. He is very proud, and he has never lacked women. Since the other party really has no intention of him and has a man he loves, he does not bother to snatch it again. In his heart, strength, and the responsibility of the Kunpeng clan are more important than the love of children. Lu Muan was relieved to see that the Golden Dragon King no longer opposed Meow Meow and her second brother. Suddenly, a communication talisman flew out of the hall. Lu Muan grabbed it and opened it and read it again. The alien spies in the human domain, the sea area, and the demon domain are all under surveillance and control, and all the places to cultivate soul beasts have been found. Now we only need to act together. After reading the news, Lu Muan's face burst into a smile. Lan Ruolai quickly deprived them of their memories after the most senior alien spies from all regions were quietly sent to the Hydra Palace. Through their memories, the high-level officials of several major domains dug out all the spies in ambush one by one. In the demon domain, several people from Mingxiu also controlled all the spies of the alien race with the help of several demon kings. Not only did they find places to cultivate soul beasts, they also found a secret place in a secret place of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. A mysterious alien army lurking. Of course, the biggest credit for finding this mysterious alien army is still Mo Yan. Let's act together in 2 days, Mingxiu said after calculating the time. The Golden Dragon King looked at his daughter who was about to move, and knew that she was already gearing up to clean up the aliens. He chuckled lightly, looked at Lu Muan and Mingxiu and said, if there is something that this king can help, I don't mind giving a hand. When the Golden Dragon King said this, Lu Muan naturally would not refuse, and said with a smile, when the time comes, we will go to clear the old nest of the Huiluan Beast King, and we will trouble the Golden Dragon King to use a space blockade to suppress it. The innate supernatural power that the dragons are best at is space, and even more so when they reach the level of the Golden Dragon King. In order to prevent aliens from slipping through the net, it would be more perfect if there was a Golden Dragon King's space blockade. No problem. The Golden Dragon King's body was suppressed by the interface law in the Guangling world and could not kill any random shots in this continent, but using space blockade to prevent aliens from escaping did not violate the law. The prince of the Kunpeng clan had previously played against Lu Muan and found that their cultivation bases were not much different in strength. He felt that the cultivation base of Mingxiu was more majestic and wanted to learn more from the two of them. Miss Lu, the ninth prince, since I promised Miss Meow Meow to do my best, I will try my best to help you. He opened his mouth and looked at the two with a friendly attitude. I just hope that after cleaning up the aliens in the virtual night world, the two of you can discuss with me separately. Ming Xiu said with a light smile, no problem, we also want to exchange battle experience with the prince. Although he said that there is no problem that the breakthrough to the immortal cultivation base has been successfully integrated in understanding, but in terms of combat skills, Prince Kunpeng also has many special features, and it is also beneficial for them to learn a lot. Why not make such a mutually beneficial move? Lum Weian, Mingxiu, and Ye Qinghan communicated to the human domain, the sea area, and the demon domain, respectively, and agreed on a time for concerted action. The Hydra King of the demon domain also made an appointment with several other demon kings, and secretly dispatched the fusion masters of the tribe to ambush where the aliens cultivated soul beasts. Lum Weian not only researched the poisons to deal with the Huiluan beasts, but also researched the toxins for the soul beasts such as the ghost beasts and the sea spirit beasts. At that time, as long as a large amount of poison is thrown into the siege of the soul beast's lair, the losses on one's own side will be minimized. This inspiration was also inspired by Lum Weian in Mo Yan. The senior management of GU all knew that Lum Weian's talent in alchemy and medicine was very strong, so no one doubted whether her poison was useful or not. 2 days later, Lum Weian and the others arrived at the cave where the Huiluan beasts hid through the teleportation formation placed in Qian Mountain by Mingxiu. She and Mingxiu looked at each other and let the others hide first. They each held a long sword, and they joined hands to face the ban on the cave and began to fight each other. Boom! The two had already penetrated each other's weaknesses in the ban, and the continuous attack of the sword energy quickly broke the ban. Hoo-hoo! Suddenly, countless coercive and powerful harsh beast roars sounded. More than a dozen Huiluan beast-shaped demon cultivators dressed in red rushed out of the cave. One of them looked at Lum Weian coldly and said, "You guys are so brave. Stop talking nonsense, and take your life." Lum Weian squinted, didn't talk nonsense with him at all, and slashed directly with his sword. "My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 928. The dozen or so Huiluan beast demon Jiu did not expect that Lum Weian would act without saying a word, and immediately greeted him and reported to the Huiluan beast king through voice transmission. Lum Weian and Mingxiu were very powerful, and they quickly killed the more than 10 Huiluan beasts who were only fused with the cultivation of the heaven and human realm, and directly entered the cave. Hoo-hoo! In the cave, a beast roar resounded through the sky, trying to suppress the two. However, with the strength of 2 days of cultivation, this sonic attack is not a concern at all. Lum Weian took out more than 10 black bottles and threw them in all directions. Burst! She drank lightly and pointed at the dozen or so black bottles. Bang bang! More than a dozen black bottles exploded together, and some orange powder and smoke flew out of the bottles, spreading throughout the cave, and soon merged with the underground magma sea. Lum Weian blew a whistle when the orange powder and smoke dissipated. The powerful monsters hidden outside rushed in one after another and fought with the poisoned Huiluan beast. Ye Qinghan and Sujin didn't come with them this time. They and Mo Yan went to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan and Mo Yan to join forces to deal with the mysterious alien army. Nailange had something important to go back to his interface before, and after receiving the news this time, he also brought dozens of strong men to help out. The Kunpeng tribe is better at teleportation. Although their spatial talent is slightly worse than that of the dragon tribe, they can barely block the space, so they followed Ye Qinghan and others to the Nine-Tailed Fox tribe to help. As soon as the Jinpeng tribe received the news from Lum Weian, they waved their sleeves at will, and the entire Qian mountain was enveloped in a layer of golden light. After seeing this layer of golden light, the monsters and animals in the mountain lay on the ground and shivered, obviously very afraid of this coercion. Lum Weian and Mingxiu went all the way down and rushed directly into the magma sea in the cave. As soon as he entered the magma sea, Lum Weian took out several ice blue bottles and detonated them. After the bottle exploded in the distance, a faint blue liquid instantly merged with the magma sea. Hoo-hoo, the more powerful roar of the beast kept ringing in the hole. Then I saw more than a dozen huge figures coming upstream from the magma sea. The Huoluan Beast King, who was at the bottom of the deep magma sea, slowly opened his eyes and swept away his lazy appearance before. He turned into a red light and quickly rushed out. The dozen or so Huoluan beasts confronted Lumwian first, but as soon as the siege began, the scales and armor on their bodies began to split inch by inch, and a stream of red blood spurted out. After a while, there was a shrill scream from the entire cave and the cave in the cave. When your illness was killing you, the high-level demon cultivators present quickly besieged and killed a lot of Huoluan beasts when they were poisoned. The more than 10 Huoluan beasts who were half-step high immortals were no exception. Lumwian and Mingxiu lost a few 10-rank array balls and solved them. The Huoluan Beast King lurks in the deepest part of the magma sea, and the toxin spreads slower than other Huoluan beasts, but when he approaches Lumwian and Mingxiu, the scales on his body also begin to crack. His eyes were full of miscalculated cold light, and he felt the aura of the Fire Luan beast of the same clan gradually diminish or even disappear, and his heart sank to the bottom. He quickly used special means to send a message to the Queen of the Fox clan, and then turned around and fled in the opposite direction. He once opened a passage in the sea of magma and flames to lead to another part of Qian Mountain. It was just a boring thing to do in his spare time, but now it comes in handy. As for going out and confronting the enemy head-on, he never thought about it at all. Now the demon power in his body is greatly affected by toxins. Unless he and Lumwian and others have done their best, they will definitely be besieged and captured when they go out. He still cherishes his life very much. If the mainland can't occupy it, he will go back to the virtual night world. At that time, he will still be the noble prince, and he will not be able to use his life to do things for the eldest princess. He escaped. Lumwian looked at the bottom of the magma sea with deep eyes. Mingxiu sneered, he thought he could escape. This Huoluan Beast King is really unrestrained. He was poisoned and left his clan to run away alone. Such a disposition is really not good. Let's go out and kill him. Lumwian had already done tricks in the poison. As long as the Huoluan beast was within 10,000 miles, she could sense it wherever it went. Mingxiu nodded and smiled, okay. The entire Qian Mountain is blocked by the Golden Dragon King, and it is impossible for the Huoluan beast to escape. The two flew out of the cave and swept towards the back mountain of Qian Mountain. After about a cup of tea, a large hole was opened in a barren mountain in the back mountain, and a burly middle-aged man in red flew out in a panic. When he saw the two people not far away, he was stunned, and asked with a fierce face, "Did you put the poison in it?" Lumwian raised her eyebrows with her arms in her arms and said, "Do you still need to ask such a question?" Huoluan Beast King snorted coldly, and immediately used his innate supernatural powers to use it on the two of them. It was only now that he realized that the eldest princess was not unreasonable to be wary and fearful of Lumwian. Lumwian's ability to dispense toxins that suppress the strength of their Huoluan beast clan is a very dangerous signal. He is itchy and painful all over his body now, and there are cracks all around the body's scales that are constantly overflowing with blood. Such allergic symptoms allow him to exert only 60% of his strength. Now that he had transformed into his main body, his skin was also cracked a lot, and the blood dyed his clothes even redder. Seeing Lumwian as the culprit, there was only one impulse in his heart, and he tore up the other party. Huoluan Beast's innate supernatural power is gravity crushing, and many opponents of the same rank will be seriously injured when this trick is used. Huoluan Beast King is still quite confident about this move. But this time, he was destined to be disappointed. Lumwian's body refining technique had been completed successfully. Although it was a bit difficult to fight against such gravity, it could not cause any harm to her at all. Huoluan Beast Master is not stupid either. After using the innate supernatural power, He immediately turned into a red light and flew towards the horizon. It's a pity that he was knocked back by an invisible force not far from flying out. No matter which direction he flew from, a large golden net would appear in front of him and shoot him back to the original spot. Just as Lum Wan resisted Huoluan Beast King's innate supernatural powers, Ming Xiu's longsword had already pierced Huoluan Beast King's neck. Huoluan Beast King opened his eyes wide. He never thought that he had reached the state and he would still be killed. The most important thing is how this human race knows that the weakness of their Huoluan beast is on the neck. His avatar cultivation in the imaginary world is only a fusion of heaven and human realm. If there is not so much supply of soul balls, I don't know how many years it will take to cultivate to the current cultivation strength of the main body. He is not reconciled. However, the Huoluan Beast King also fell heavily to the ground when he was not reconciled, and soon became a bloody corpse of a beast without any breath. The weakness of the Huoluan beast was also discovered by Mo Yan. Lum Wan's toxins destroyed the internal organs of its body. In addition, the demon power was suppressed by nearly half, so it was easy for Ming Xiu to succeed. Otherwise, it would definitely be a fierce battle. In addition to the Huoluan Beast King, there were also other Huoluan beasts who rushed out of the cave and wanted to escape, but they were all bound by the Golden Dragon King's space blockade, and were finally killed by the powerhouses of various monster clans. The lair of the alien race in Qian Mountain, the demon region, was successfully and completely destroyed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 929. Qian Mountain's Huoluan Beast Legion was completely destroyed. News came from the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. Yekinghan and others also successfully annihilated that mysterious alien legion. Lum Wan and Ming Xiu swept through the Huoluan beast's old nest and collected treasures that the other party had collected for 10,000 years before leaving Qian Mountain with the other demon cultivators. Immediately afterwards, news from other high-level officials in the human domain, the sea area, the demon domain and the demon domain continued to come. All the alien spies in the 4 domains were beheaded, and the nests where the alien races cultivated soul beasts were all destroyed. Lum Wan and the others did not go back to the Hydra clan, but went directly to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan. The spies who had been hiding in the Guangling realm for thousands of years were uprooted from the Void Night realm. Naturally, they couldn't let the mastermind behind the scenes escape. Ming Xiu placed small teleportation arrays in various places when he was secretly investigating the spies and soul beasts of the various clans in the demon territory. They also used the teleportation array to go to the Nine-Tailed Fox clan, and it took only half a day to arrive at the outskirts of the Nine-Tailed Fox clan's capital. At this time, the tense atmosphere in the Nine-Tailed Fox King city was still quiet and peaceful. Lum Wan and his party used the medicinal pill to transform into the Nine-Tailed Fox clan and entered the King city, and directly affixed the invisibility amulet to the Nine-Tailed Fox palace. They don't want the Nine-Tailed Fox clan to riot now. The most important thing at present is to control and capture the queen of the Fox clan, otherwise they are afraid that she will act as a demon in the back and revive. When they arrived at the Nine-Tailed Fox palace, the Nine-Tailed Fox king and queen had been besieged by Yekinghan and others in the palace, surrounded by a space barrier created by the Kunpeng clan. The Golden Dragon King did not enter the palace with Lum Wan and the others. He hid in the space and set up a space blockade to prevent the alien spies of the Fox clan from escaping. This is Lum Wan asking the Golden Dragon King for help. Several people entered the palace. Yekinghan and others were standing and confronting the Nine-Tailed Fox King and Queen. They had just come to the palace for a cup of tea, and had not yet torn apart with each other. When the Fox King saw Lum Wan and the others appear, he looked at Mo Yan, who was brought to the bedroom with an angry face. "You bastard, wicked son, why did you bring them to the bedroom? Mo Yan has recovered his appearance at this time. He looked at the beautiful woman sitting beside the Fox King and said, "Auntie, go and invite the mother out. Now is the time to end those things that happened in the past." The glamorous woman's body froze, obviously not expecting Mo Yan to know the secret. Facing Mo Yan's calm, deep eyes, the glamorous woman sighed, "Forget it, what should come will always come." A few hours ago, she had already received the news that all the spies from the 4 domains Void Night Realm had been removed, all the nests that cultivated soul beasts had been destroyed, and even the Huoluan Beast Legion and the Princess Guards were wiped out by the enemy. The situation was over, but she felt much calmer in her heart. She stood up and walked towards the inner chamber of the bedroom. The Fox King looked at the glamorous woman and Mo Yan inexplicably, his brows furrowed tightly together, and he had a bad premonition in his heart. "What do you want to ask your mother for? What does it mean to understand the past?" he asked Mo Yan in confusion. "You bastard, made it clear to this king." Mo Yan's expression was light. "I'll find out later, father and king." The nine-tailed Fox King made him the prince mainly because of the comfort of the queen of the Fox clan, perhaps because there was no real blood relationship between them, so the Fox King never got close to him. Their father-son relationship was very cold, and the queen did not deal with it. He pretended to be the 11 commander. On the surface, he was very favored, but in fact, the Fox King was just showing off. "You." The Fox King trembled with anger. "This villain is so outrageous, no wonder he can't like it." After a while, 2 women came out of the inner room of the bedroom. They looked exactly the same, and even their temperaments were very similar. Only one was wearing the palace suit just now, and the other was wearing a rose-red dress. The Fox King was completely stunned when he saw the 2 identical beautiful women walking out. This is... He didn't know what to say anymore, and moved his eyes to the woman in the rose-red dress, a feeling of familiarity in his mind, like when his heart was moved for the first time. The woman did not answer the question of the Fox King. She slowly walked to the queen's seat and sat down, looking at Mo Yan coldly. "Bangong shouldn't have sent you to the Fox clan back then. Do you regret now that you didn't kill me directly?" Mo Yan asked with an indifferent smile and raised his eyebrows. "Yes, Bangong was soft-hearted back then and didn't expect to make a big mistake. If I strangled you directly, I wouldn't be betrayed by you." The woman's face was cold, but there was anger in her eyes. She never thought that in the joint operation of the 4 regions, there would be her own son's handwriting, especially the destruction of the Huoluan Beast's nest and her personal guards, and Mo Yan was even more obstructive, as if he was digging her heart. If she knew that this villain would endure betrayal, she should have killed him directly when she was born. "This is not a betrayal." Before Mo Yan could speak, a man in white who looked exactly like him walked out of the space, and looked at the queen of the Fox clan at the head. "Don't you only allow you to use the big brother, can't you? Allow big brother to fight back." When the queen of the Fox clan saw Mo Yan who suddenly appeared, she knew that she was counterattacked by the 2 sons she gave birth to. The Fox King looked at Mo Yan who had just appeared, his eyes were full of shock, and his mind was completely stunned. "Bangong really gave birth to 2 good sons?" the queen of the Fox clan sneered. "You are so unfilial. Why did you take this mother Bangong in your eyes? If it wasn't for Bangong these years, you would still be alive to this day." "Yeah. We want to thank you for not killing." Mo Yan continued sarcastically, "When you let the spirit-devouring beasts attack Mo Yan and let him pass the death god, you used me for so many years, and even sent people to assassinate me a few times, and you have already paid off your debts, so don't have any relationship with us now. For a ruthless woman like you, what is family affection? When did your brothers get in touch? How did you know about the other party's life experience?" This is something that the queen of the Fox clan is very puzzled about. She believes that she has been very secretive over the years. The 2 children were separated from each other and raised in 2 different demon clans not long after they were born. It is impossible for them to know the twins' origins. You don't need to worry about this, of course. Mo Yan couldn't expose the things that he has remembered since birth. What? Are they brothers? The Fox King was a smart person. Hearing their conversation, he carefully compared the appearance of Mo Yan and Mo Yan, but he didn't know the twists and turns inside. He stared angrily at the noble and glamorous woman beside him, and asked with a bit of embarrassment in his eyes, "The prince is not my biological son at all, is he? Also, what's the matter with you?" He pointed to the woman in palace costume standing below and asked suspiciously. These two women gave him a very familiar feeling, one with the feeling of his former heart, the other with the smell of him, and he knew that they were definitely related to him. "My evil imperial wife is too arrogant, trash against the world, BlackBelly evil wife is too arrogant." Author, Lan by Gezi. Chapter 930. The Queen of the Fox Clan didn't take the question of the Fox King to heart. The situation was over, and she had long lost the thought of continuing to deal with him. "Yes, he is not your son, he is one of the twins born by Ben Gong and the Beast King." The Fox King's eyes are full of coolness. Is this the woman he has loved for so many years? Then why is his bloodline the same as this king's? This is what the Fox King is very puzzled about. Could it be that you did it? Half of Ben Gong's bloodline is the nine-tailed fox. If he can perform a secret technique at will, his bloodline will be the same as Ben Gong's. Naturally, it is also the bloodline of the nine-tailed fox of the royal family. The Queen of the Fox family replied casually. The Fox King choked with a look of decadence on his face. He pointed to the woman in the palace suit below and asked, "Then what happened to her? Don't you know who she is when you sleep with her every day?" The Queen of the Fox clan raised her eyebrows. "Forget it, I took advantage of you, so I'll clear up your doubts today. She is Ben Gong's fellow sister, you like Ben Gong, but Ben Gong doesn't want to have a relationship with you, but she wants to use you and the nine-tailed fox clan to do things for this palace, so she looks exactly the same as Ben Gong. My sister is going to have the same room with you instead of Ben Gong." She pointed to the woman in the palace dress below and added lightly. The woman in the palace dress standing below turned pale. She did not expect that her sister would coldly say such an embarrassing and shameless thing in front of so many people. The Fox King spit out blood. He stretched out his hand and pointed at the Queen of the Fox clan with a little trembling, and asked with great grief, You have never been moved by this king?" "Naturally not." The Fox Queen looked indifferent. "Do you have any heart?" The Fox King roared indignantly. "This king has devoted his heart and lungs to you all these years, and you actually use these to repay this king. That's your stupidity." The Queen of the Fox clan raised her hand slowly, looking casually at the bright red nails. The Fox King was so angry that he stretched out his hand and wanted to slap her, but before he could get close, a black shadow suddenly appeared to restrain his hands and feet. With a wave of the shadow, the Fox King flew out 100 meters. The Fox King looked at the black shadow that suddenly appeared in horror. With his strength, he would be easily shaken back by the opponent. "This palace has answered your question, so don't join in the fun again." The Queen of the Fox clan rubbed her bright red nails and said to the shadow, "Please invite the Fox King to the side hall to rest." "You poisonous woman!" The Fox King's eyes were flushed, his fingers trembling slightly. He pointed at the Fox Queen, and he spat out a mouthful of blood again. He never imagined that in order to marry this woman back to the Fox clan, he had calculated the Spirit Devouring clan and the Thunder Beast clan, and was secretly spurned by many demon kings, even hostile. Now it will turn out to be such a result. After all, it is he who is being cuckolded. The most important thing is that he has always loved this woman in his heart since he met him, and gave her half of the power of the Fox clan to show respect and trust, and he will find a way to satisfy her whatever she wants. But that's how she repaid him. She looked at him with disgust in her eyes. That's what he paid so much for. He is not reconciled. The Queen of the Fox clan frowned and said in disgust, "Take it away." "Yes, Princess. The shadowy fox quickly disappeared into the bedroom with the frightened Fox King. The Fox King was taken away from the palace by the shadow without the ability to resist at all, indicating that the man's cultivation base has surpassed the half-step immortal. Do you think you can keep this palace today? The queen of the Fox clan looked up at Lum Wen and her party while playing with her fingernails. Lum Wen chuckled lightly, why don't you try to see if you can get out? The queen of the Fox clan frowned deeply, her mental power dissipated instantly, and her dull complexion soon changed. She was led by the prince of the Kunpeng clan to enter the space barrier, but she had a magical treasure that could be destroyed, so she was ready to catch Lum Wen and his group before leaving. Unexpectedly, the space has been blocked by a powerful force outside, and she and the alien race in the virtual night world cannot break through that space at all. Thinking of the news, she had already guessed that it was the Golden Dragon King. After a while, a coquettish smile bloomed on her delicate face, and her eyes fell on Mo Yan and Mo Yan. Do you also want this palace to be captured? Shouldn't you be captured? Mo Yan sneered coldly. Don't you want to take advantage of the mother-son relationship that has long been lost between us? Mo Yan's eyes were cold and he said slowly, I'm not going to let you be captured. The queen of the Fox clan looked at Mo Yan fixedly, and sighed softly, Yan'er, the queen mother will compensate you in the future. A mocking smile appeared on Mo Yan's lips, now use your life to make up for it. I don't want you to be captured, I just want to kill you, the enemy who killed your father, with my own hands. You. The queen of the Fox clan didn't expect Mo Yan to hide such thoughts. She always thought that Mo Yan had a deep admiration for her. Mo Yan used to be very eager for her mother's love, how could it be like this now? A flustered feeling suddenly out of control made the queen of the Fox clan a little uncomfortable. You want to kill your mother, she swept Mo Yan coldly and continued, it was this evil son who encouraged you. Big brother didn't encourage me to do anything, I just want to avenge the revenge you designed to kill your father and king, and to seek justice for the innocent lives you killed in Cu. Mo Yan looked at her indifferently and replied. His little admiration for the queen of the Fox clan has long since dissipated completely, but this person is his mother after all, and it will definitely not end well in the hands of others. He sends her on the road even if the meager mother-son relationship is all gone. Bar. Ha ha. The Fox Queen laughed loudly, and a black bottle landed in her palm. Are you talking about him? Immediately, she opened the black bottle, and a plume of white smoke emerged from it. White smoke fell in the middle of the hall, forming a transparent spirit-devouring beast. Father Mo Yan's expression changed, and he clenched his hands tightly. The spirit-devouring beast in mid-air closed its eyes tightly, the breath of the soul was very weak, and at first glance it looked like it had been sleeping for many years. Then the queen of the Fox clan patted the armrest of the sitting position, and suddenly there was a 10th rank attack formation in the palace, and the power and energy emanating was very powerful. You don't want Ben Gong to leave, why would Ben Gong ever want to let you go? The queen of the Fox clan threw the black bottle in her hand with a bit of madness in her eyes. All of Ben Gong's plans in the Guangling realm were destroyed by you. Exhausted, if you don't get rid of you, I can't swallow this bad breath. After her voice fell, there were dozens of black shadows looming around, and the aura of the cultivation base released was half a step to the immortal. Lum Wen found that the aura of these shadows did not have a sense of interface rejection like the previous aliens, and even had a strong corpse aura.